name's Ilysa Ginsberg, and I'm one of the authors of Polymer Clay Art Jewelry. There's so many things that you probably already have in your tool chest that you can also use with polymer clay. And one of them is stencils. So today I want to show you a fun way to use stencils that's quick and easy and can really make a difference in your projects. So let's get started. So one of the awesome things about polymer clay is that you can also use all those stencils you have in your stash already. So it's not like you have to go out and buy tons of new materials. You probably already have some kind of stencils in your stash that'll work fine on polymer clay. Here I have one that's just some different words, and it's just a thin little piece of plastic. And here's a little fancier one that's got like an animal print. I've got a chevron. I even have a paper one, and this one's made out of metal. So any kind of stencil can be used. You just need to make sure that you can, apply the medium within the stencil, and all of these are fine. The only thing I found is that these paper stencils, if you're using a wet medium, they kind of stink. So they fall apart and they become a mess. So I really don't like using these paper ones for this technique anyways. So just think about that, because they will fall apart. So I have some different inks. These are just some pigment inks, and they're juicy and nice, and this is what you're looking for when you're working with stencils and polymer clay. You want something that's going to get through all those little holes and make a nice mark. I have some StazOn, some Versamagic. You can use any kind of ink you want, and it'll adhere to polymer clay. The pigment ink needs to be heat set, which is perfect for polymer clay because you got to bake it anyways. And then the StazOn, that's more of a permanent ink, will dry on the polymer clay, whereas the pigment ink will never dry completely. You have to bake it because it's heat set. So both of them work. You can use things like powdered pigments, you can use ink, you can use paint. So I'm just going to show you the ink today to give you an idea of how it works, but let me move these aside, and I want to bring in one that, or a few that I've already done, and show you what I've done to do them. And obviously I used this same exact stencil, and I just placed it on top, and I used a rod, an acrylic rod, and rolled it right over there. I'll show you on another one. And then inked in there I used the chalk ink, the Versamagic. I found I got better coverage than with the opaque white. And I don't know if this is because it's so dry, this particular one, and I may need to add some more ink to it, but I got really good coverage. I really liked the way that looked. And let me show you one now that's been done with a different technique, which I'll probably be showing you a little later. I'm going to leave you in suspense on this one, but look at how cool that looks. A nice crackle finish. And that was done through this stencil. And I have a couple others that were done that way, and these are all done with different techniques. And so I'll be sharing those as we go on, but today we're just focusing on the ink, but I wanted to show you all the cool possibilities you can get by using polymer clay and stencils. I mean, some really awesome looks with it, and let me tell you, it's easy. It's super easy, so, you don't need any special tools, you just need your stencil and some ink. So let me show you the actual technique so you can get started. And let's go with a word first. So let's just start here with a word that's going to fit here. Let's do the believe. So I lay it the way I'm going to see it, because with a stencil you don't have to do it backwards. You'll be able to see it exactly as it is. And I'm just going to use my acrylic rod. And if you don't have an acrylic rod, you can use a flat glass. That'll work just as well. I didn't apply a ton of pressure. I'm not looking to jam it into the clay. I'm just making sure that it doesn't move when I go to apply my ink. So here's my ink, and this is a chocolate brown color. And I'm just going to dab it in those openings of the stencil like I would any other stencil. And I just want to get complete coverage, so you can go over it a couple times if you need to. And like I said, this is pigment ink, so it's never going to dry 100% on the clay. So I don't have to really worry about that because I'm going to bake it, and it'll be permanent after I bake it. You're not going to be able to wipe it off or smear it or whatever. So there I have it. I just did that easy coverage, and I'm going to hold this down, and you may need to hold your clay, and just peel it back. And you have this awesome believe on your clay that you can do almost anything with. You could create a necklace. I'm just licking this off. I just got a little extra on there. So just be a little careful when you're doing it yourself if you're making a specific project. But if you're going to cut it out, you can just cut around that anyways. So that's that one. And let's do the chevron next. And you can see how it's just so easy to do and so funny, so effective, and such a really unique look. And it takes those mixed media techniques into your polymer clay so that you don't have to get all these new products and learn all these new things that are just, you know, something you already have in your repertoire, but adding it to a different medium such as polymer clay. And you can do a bounce. You can use a brush if you prefer, but I like these little dewdrop ink sets because they're so small and easy and handy to use, and they work really well to get in the crevices, so that's important to me. I want to make sure I get a nice cover. Now you can change the look of it a little by brushing it and get a different look. See how it picks up differently? Because it just, you could add texture to it if you wanted. Actually doing that, like drag, gives it a little texture that I really like. So again, I would hold down the clay and just peel back. And it's just such an easy technique and so cool. So I just want to show you a couple pieces I made so you get an idea of how you can use it too. So here's a piece that I used the same chevron stencil on. And I just used a cookie cutter to cut it out. I poked a little hole in the top, and you can use a knitting needle for that, or I have a little tool which actually has built-in large needles. And I just poked my hole. I could add a jump ring to that. I can dangle something from that. Whatever I want to do, and you could put a hole at the top, the bottom, depending on what you're going to make. But I could totally see two of these into a really cute pair of earrings. Even turning it around this way and adding another hole and dangling some beads. Just so many cute, neat ideas you can do with this technique. And here's another one I've done with this stencil that I showed you earlier. And this was a Spellbinder's metal. It's metal, so you can use metal, you can use the mylar, you can use plastic, whatever the stencil's made out of. Like I said, you can use the paper ones, but if you're using a wet medium, they don't work that great. Those are my least favorite. So as you can see, there's lots of really cool things and lots of really cool possibilities with this technique. So I hope you will explore them, and I'd love to see pictures of things you've made. Come on over to Facebook and upload photos and leave a comment and share what you've made with this technique. We'd love to see it. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.